Hello, BookTube. I don't have a super mail haul for you today. And I don't even have a super duper mail haul for you today. I have what an old friend of mine used to refer to as a super duper cow pooper of a mail haul for you today. It's so big, I'm not sure it will all fit on one video. So I'm going to start. We're going to dive right in. I'm going to try and get through all of this. It ends not only with boxes, but with one box that's big enough to fit a human body inside. I'm going to keep an eye on the time, and if the combination of oh-mying and ranting gets the video up too long, I'll split it in two. So we'll still do this whole super-duper cow pooper of a mail haul in one day. But maybe not. Maybe we can do it in one video. Let's start with this. Of course, the ideal way to get it done in one video would be if I were to curtail the Grandpa Simpson ranting and wool gathering. But you all seem to like that most of all. And, oh, God, I've started already. All right, so... Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, my. All right. Okay. Well, we're starting at the top. This is God by Reza Aslan. A Human History is what the subtitle is. And we'll just have to see where it goes from there. I read No God But God, of course, like everybody else. I read No God But God by Reza Aslan, and I read Zealot and reviewed Zealot by Reza Aslan, and didn't really think anything one way or another until on... There's a new show called the David Pakman Show. Some of you might be familiar with him. He's internet only, and he did I don't want to call it an expose, but it was a fact check on Reza Aslan as an author, and it was halting. It really was. So I will, if I remember, I will link that video down below, because I don't think there's any way for a scholar like Reza Aslan to simply brush it off or get rid of it. And it kind of affects what you think about all the rest of his books. So, all right, we're off to a disastrously chatty start. We've got a million packages to get through. We can't be taking 2 minutes for each one. So let's see. Oh, all right. So we've got some science fiction here. Oh, very good. All right, great. I'm going to send these to one of you, so I'm not going to show them to you. I'm going to be a little bit of a putz about it. Let's move on. Let's see here. What is this next one? Oh, God, it's got a packing slip. I'm not going to pay for this, please. Oh, great. Okay. I requested this. This is struck me as very interesting. It struck me as a Richardson Reed's kind of book, but I'll read it myself, and then I'll offer to send it to him. It's called Rainy Lake House by Theodore Catton. Its subtitle is Twilight of Empire and on the Northern Frontier. In September of 1823, three men met at Rainy Lake House, a Hudson's Bay Company trading post near the Boundary Waters. Dr. John McLaughlin, the proprietor of Rainy Lake House, was in charge of the borderlands west of Lake Superior, where he was tasked with opposing the petty traders who operated in U.S. territory. Major Stephen Long, an officer of the U.S. Army Topographical Engineers, was there on an expedition to explore the wooded borderland west of Lake Superior and the northern prairies from the upper Mississippi to the 49th parallel. And John Tanner, a quote-unquote white Indian, living among the Ojibwa nation, arrived at the post in search of his missing daughters, who, Tanner believed, were at risk of being raped by the white traders holding them captive at a nearby fort. So it's not only a look at the Hudson's Bay Company and the northern frontier, it's also a story of these three men. So it appealed to me immediately, so I'll give it a read. Great. What is this next one? What have we got here? Oh, okay. What is this here? Okay, this is something called Going Public, My Adventures Inside the SEC and How to Prevent the Next Devastating Crisis by Norm Champ. Really wish I were named Norm Champ. And this, it doesn't have a pub sheet or anything. And it comes to me from the Vineyard Gazette. Okay, so maybe I'm reviewing this for them. I'll have to, I don't remember the title, but I'll have to, probably that's it. Probably I'm reviewing it for them. I'll have to check and see everything about it. All right, let's move on to the next one. What have we got here? It's immensely heavy, whatever it is. Oh, fantastic. Oh, my. Oh, very good. Okay, this is due in mid-October. God, it's beautiful. This is from the Belknap Press of the Harvard University Press. This is an annotated version of the memoirs of Ulysses S. Grant. Look at that cover. My. Uh, Wonderful. Okay, so I think we mentioned on this channel before when I got the advanced copy. This is Grant's memoirs, only annotated, and that's wonderful. And I am going to be reviewing this in October, so it's great to have a finished copy. Fantastic. All right, let's move on. What is next here? Next one is a novel by Ashley Hay called 100 Small Lessons. Starts having a cup of tea. Knees pulled up inside a rainy window. When Elsie Gormley leaves the Brisbane house in which she has lived for more than 60 years, Lucy Kiss and her family move in, eager to establish their new life. As they settle in, Lucy and her husband Ben struggle with their transformation from adventurous lovers to new parents, taking tentative steps to discover who their future selves might be. But their new house has secrets of its own, and its rooms seem to share recollections of Elsie's life with Lucy. Okay, so fiction set in Brisbane. All right. So we're going to clear off some of this stuff here and move on. We'll just keep moving on. We're doing all right here. If I can keep my Grandpa Simpson bloviating and wool gathering to a minimum, we should be all right. So what is this next one? Oh, goodness gracious. It's a slim volume of poetry. It's from an author revered as the greatest living Arabic poet, and that person's name is Adonis, I guess. At the age of 86, Adonis, a Syrian poet, critic, essayist, and devoted secularist, has come out of retirement to pen an extended, innovative poem on Jerusalem. Okay. All right, this is due in late November. I can't really think of anything I'm less qualified to review, but I can certainly read it with interest. Let's see what this next one is here. Annotated memoirs of Ulysses S. Grant. How's the camera doing? Are we slipping in the focus here? I want to be in the camera here. I don't want you to just have the top of my head. Oh, that's good enough. All right. Okay. All right. Next we have, I think we've seen a copy of this before. This is by Andrew Mayne. This is The Naturalist, in which a naturalist goes to a small town where there have been a series of mysterious murders. And whenever you have a small town, a rural town, a wooded town with a series of mysterious murders, and the game warden or the local old salt is saying, yeah, it must have been a bear. I know it's not a bear. I can't remember if I read this before. I read this to you before or not. In The Naturalist, Professor Theo Cray is trained to see patterns where others see chaos. So when mutilated bodies found deep in the Montana woods leave the cops searching blindly for clues, Theo sees something they missed, something unnatural, something only he can stop. This is due on October 1st, and since I know what your first thought is when you read that description, I feel that I'm behooved to say, it wasn't me. Whatever's lurking in the Montana woods, it wasn't me. I've spent my time in the Montana woods with a huge crowd of dogs, and it was a ball. It was an absolute ball. But people who say, well, this, of course, will be, I'm sure, a human-engineered biogenetic freak, or some human-engineered Dan Brown-esque variation on Bigfoot. But the people who say that there actually are Bigfoot, Sasquatch-type creatures in the Montana woods, and they make audio recordings of them and play them. I go to all these websites. I have too much time on my hands. And I listen to the audio recordings, and I've spent endless amounts of time in the Montana woods. And the audio recordings are easily identifiable as animals that live there too. So if you're a big boot-wearing He-Man and you've got your tent and you've got your gear and you're out in the woods and you're having a ball with your buddies, but inside you're trembling little grade schoolers who let your imagination run away with you when you hear a lynx in heat, maybe you ought not to Go out into the Montana woods. If it's too frightening for you, why not stay home? Read Elizabeth Gaskell. Wouldn't kill you. Anyway, let's move on. That's just the sort of thing that's going to kill our time here. Let's move on. This next one's pleasingly heavy. So let's see what this is. Oh no! Oh goodness gracious! All right, this is the finished copy of Frederick Cruz's biography of Freud, which I have read now twice. Once I blasted through it because it bid fair to be very entertaining, and then once I was done blasting through it, I let a little time settle in, and then I read it again, slowly, and it's fantastic. It is such an incredible hatchet job. Which I thought was hilarious. This author has been hatcheting Freud for a long time. This is just sort of his magnum opus of Freud hatchery. And reviewers are having a ball with it too, because Freud's reputation is at a low point, I would say. I don't think he's going to recover. I certainly hope he doesn't recover. A psychological or philosophical mind frame that says that takes as its starting point. We'll leave aside the ridiculous pornographic implications that Freud imputes to all of us. We'll leave those aside. The main problem that I have with Freudian analysis is the same problem I have with most systemic analysis, which is that its founding understanding, the first thing you have to agree to, is that most of what goes into making you do what you do, you don't know. You need someone else to tell you it at an hourly rate. And I don't agree with that at all. That is so antithetical to rigorous self-evaluation that if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to make that first assumption and say to some stranger, I think there are things going on in me that I don't understand, I need someone's help to understand them. If you're willing to do that without even trying, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, which is why and you will certainly get disappointed. First of all, when it comes to systematic, prolonged psychotherapy, how do we even know what counts as a success? And I'm not talking about trauma here. I'm not talking about trauma counseling. Trauma counseling is real. It's a wound that has been delivered to your mind instead of your brain. But it's still a wound. It creates trauma of its own. It needs time to heal, then scar over, then smooth, then become part of the metabolism again. But when it comes to what is now called psychological problems, psychological damage, how do we even assess when psychology is successful? And even on the yardsticks that the modern psychotherapy industry uses, psychotherapy's success rate is abysmally low. People tend not to even think they're going to see success. They just consider that they're going to do it for the rest of their life. And do what? Sit and talk with someone. And the person gives them common sense suggestions about what they should do, about what they've heard. And then goes home to their kids and cashes your check at the end of the month. It's all right. Obviously, as you can tell, I don't really get psychoanalysis, and I've never been a big fan of it. And I don't know whether or not Frederick Cruz gets it or is a fan of it either. But he's certainly not a fan of Freud. So this is a hatchet job of a biography. And most of the critics who've been writing reviews of it have loved that. They've dug in their own knives. Mark Edmondson, who I've mentioned on this channel before, he's a great guy, a great teacher, and a really good book reviewer whenever he gets around to doing it. And he did a review of the Freud book just recently for, I think, the American Scholar, in which, is naturally his way, he resisted the idea of a pile-on. He resisted the idea that this guy is absolutely worthless. And I loved it. I absolutely love the piece. Didn't change my mind about Freud. Didn't change my amusement of all the other reviews I've read, but I loved it. He doesn't overclaim. It was totally valid. Anyway, oh my God, you have to stop me when I do. All right. So this next one is the China questions. Critical insights into a rising power. Just a collection of essays, which comes out next year, so we don't have to think about it. Good, because we got stuff to do. This next one is not a book, obviously. It's something, but it's not a book. Oh, it's from the Audubon Society. It's the kind of freebie that you get when you subscribe to them. It is what on earth is this? What is this? Is it a purse? What is this? It's not a backpack, but it's not a rucksack either. It's what is this? It would fit one book. It would fit one book. What am I supposed to do with this? Okay. Well, they would get my money anyway. They're a good cause, so let's just move on. A man purse. Do I look like Tom Brady to you? I don't carry a man purse. I carry the most capacious bag I can possibly get. Because by the time I'm outside of the house for more than 90 minutes, I've got 20 books that I'm lugging around. All right. Okay. So what have we got here? This next one. Oh, good. All right. Very good. So let's see here. What have we got for a date? This comes out in early October. This is called Firestorm by Edward Struzik, and it's called How Wildfire Will Shape Our Future. One of many books. I think I showed you Megafire on this channel a little while ago. That I've noticed is that people are writing books about the fact that half of America burns to the ground every year now, and they're wondering, these things are investigations of what that means. I think the subject's fascinating. It's horrifying. I'm glad that I don't live out west anymore, but fascinating. So what have we got? Now we have a box. We're actually, it looks like we're at a little over 15 minutes, so this didn't turn out to be bad at all. Great. That's good to know. All right, so whatever this is, I think it's probably one huge book. I hope it is. What is this thing? Oh my God. Oh God almighty. It is one huge book. It's The Republic for Which It Stands by Richard White. A really good history of the Gilded Era and Reconstruction, and right, it takes you from the end of the Civil War right up to the beginning of the modern era, right up to the beginning of modern progressive politics, the 20th century. It's a 30-year span in American history that doesn't always get the attention that it deserves. And I've actually already read this book twice and reviewed it, so I don't know why I'm getting another finished copy. My finished copy is over on the shelf. All right, so that's a double. But that just means we can speed on here. So we're on to this next one. How do we open this thing? I don't want to be fiddling around with it. I don't have time to fiddle around with it. I'll just open it by main force, that's all. What have we got here? It's another huge book. Oh, okay. All right. This comes out in October. This is almost certainly going to be the biggest book that I get this year. This is by David Adams Cleveland, and it is called Time's Betrayal. Look at the size of this thing. It is, wait for it, 1,164 pages long. Enough said. And then we get to the huge box. The box is big enough to have a person inside it. But I think I know what it is. It's light as a feather, and I think I know what it is. I don't think it's a book at all, but I think I'm going to be very happy to have it. It's what I think it is. It's desperately needed. Yes, it is. Look at that. This is a box full of priority mail envelopes. Excellent. Oh, fantastic. I need as many of them as I can get to mail books out to you. All right, well, we did it. It wasn't even 20 minutes. I've done videos twice this long with less than half this many books. I don't tell you, there's no way to predict this channel. So I don't think we're going to be able to do a Steve Book Tower. We'll give it a try, but with books like Time's Betrayal, they're not helping any. So we have Time's Betrayal at 1,100 pages. Then we have The Republic for Which It Stands at 900 pages. Firestorm. Freud. Oh, God. This is never going to work. The Annotated Memoirs of Ulysses S. Grant. Let's see here. Rainy Lake House. God by Reza Aslan. The Naturalist by Andy Main. a slim volume of poetry, which we could use more of those this time around. A novel set in Brisbane. Something called Going Public, which was sent to me from the Vineyard Gazette. The China Questions. Oh, look at that. Oh my God. And some other books that I'm going to mail to one of you that I think is watching, so I don't want to spoil the surprise. So there you go, and plus an entire box of priority mail envelopes. That's great. Yes, I need them all. I'm fresh out. So there you go. That was a super duper cow pooper of a mail haul, and we're done with it. We did it in 20 minutes. Easy peasy. So that leaves time for other videos. I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.